Thank you, Jason. I'd like to call the meeting to order and acknowledge that we are in Treaty 1 territory, the home and traditional lands of the Anishinaabe, Ojibwe, Innu, Cree, and Dakota peoples, and in the national homeland of the Red River Métis. Our drinking water comes from Shoal Lake 40 First Nation in Treaty 3 territory. My name is Robert Hutchings. I'll be chairing the hearing this morning. I'm joined on the panel by Marcel Laurendeau and Carrie Linkletter. And the secretary today is Jason Robertson, and representing the Assessment and Taxation Department, City of Winnipeg, is Jonathan Spacek. I believe that there are no Zoom participants. Is that correct, Jason?
Yes, just the panel members and the assessor.
Thank you. We will be hearing applications for revision of the assessment roll in accordance with the Municipal Assessment Act. The matters for which revision is requested have been described in each application, and we will limit discussion to those matters. The statements that are made at this hearing are sworn testimony, and anyone speaking to the matters must be sworn in. Be advised that comparisons of assessments of properties are not considered evidence of market value by the Board of Revision. The Board of Revision is appointed annually by Council and is independent of it and the City Administration. It makes its decisions on the basis of the evidence provided at this hearing and issues a written order that will be mailed to all parties as soon as possible. Please note that the board's decisions with respect to an application may be appealed to the Manitoba Municipal Board if the matter pertains to assessed value or classification, or to the Court of King's Bench if the matter pertains to the application of exemptions from taxation. Should you wish to appeal, information on how to do so will be included with the board's order. With respect to the hearing process, I will confirm the points of appeal with your property to be addressed with each applicant following the swearing in. We will then have the assessor's testimony followed by questions that the applicant may have, and then the applicant's testimony followed by questions. Each side will have an opportunity to summarize if they wish. Once all of the evidence about an application has been brought forward, the applicant may leave. The process will repeat for each item on the docket today. The session will close after all the applications have been heard, and the board will deliberate in private and make its decisions. You will receive the board's decisions by registered mail as soon as possible. As information, all public hearings are live streamed, recorded, and will be part of the public record. Today, we will be hearing items number 1, 7, and 8 on our docket today. Mr. Robertson, please affirm the assessor and the applicant's testimony.
Mr. Assessor, please state your full name.
Jonathan Spacek.
Do you affirm that the evidence you are about to give at this hearing is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do, yes.
Thank you. Mr. Applicant, please state your full name.
Trevor Smith.
Do you affirm that the evidence you are about to give at this hearing is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jason. Good morning, Mr. Smith, Mr. Spacek. First item on the docket is item number 1. File number 22-3851. Address is 385 St. Mary Avenue. And we're dealing with a 2023 Realty Assessment Appeal. Mr. Spacek, when you're ready, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We are looking at roll number 1209361010100. The address is 385 St. Mary Avenue. If you turn to my page 2, you'll see it's right on the corner of St. Mary's and Edmonton in downtown Winnipeg. We have a 2023 assessment of $3,276,000. This is an originally built 2-story office building built in 1958. And in 2019, it went through renovations, full renovations of the building, and the effective years increased from 1958 to 2010. We have 11,088 square feet of gross floor space, and the leasable area in this property has been determined at 9,391. This property also has 23 outdoor parking stalls around the building, as you can see at the top of my page 2. And at the bottom of my page 2, we have an exterior picture of the property. And at the top of page 3, we have another exterior photo of the property just showing the entrance to the back of the building where the parking is located. If we turn to my page 4, you'll notice they've always complied with our request for information and sent in the INEs. And this property was purchased by the current owner October 11th, 2016 for $1,850,000. And after that, the renovations were completed in 2019. If we turn to page 5, you will see the income workup for this property. It comes in 2 pieces. We have the actual office portion and then underneath the parking portion, which I'll get to after. But for the income stream for the office building, we have two leasable areas, the first floor and the second floor. The first floor is 4,695 square feet at $18.31. And then we have 4,695 square feet for the second floor at $16.18. This is an average of $17.25 over 9,390 square feet. And then we have our standard OFS parameters for the remainder. We have vacancy loss for OFSs this cycle at 11%. We have expenses at 3%, shortfall at $8, and then our overall capitalization rate, which is model driven, at 4.85%. This gives us a total of $2,712,000 for the office portion. And if we turn to page 6, I have about 3 pages total of we have a global, similar to last cycle, just a global OFS list of comparables across the city. Again, wide range. You'll notice we have some smaller and larger square footage. So what I'll do is I'll just point out a couple of the larger square footage ones. If we look at comparable 30, we have 1150. Well, if you look at comparable 29 and 30, we have 1150 Waverly. There's 2 buildings there. And we have 2,000 square feet at comparable 29 at $15. And then we have the larger portion of the property, comparable 30. This is a 10-year lease, 7,280 square feet at $17.50. Comparable 34 is 895 Waverly. We have unit 110. It's 13,000 square feet at $15.50. And then we have 1601 Buffalo Place at comparable 36. We have a 5-year lease signed in 2019 for 6,000 square feet at $22. If we turn to page 7, we have some more larger OFS spaces. We have comparable 50 is 215 Des Hiverance Boulevard. This is a 10-year lease signed in 2019 for 6,000 square feet at $15.50. 75 Skurfield Boulevard is just underneath at comparable 51. We have 2,000 square feet at $16.75. And if we go down to comparable 57, we have 500 St. James, which is another larger 2-story OFS, completely occupied by 1 tenant. And we have a 5-year lease signed in 2019 for 18,400 square feet at $17 a square foot. And if we scroll down to the bottom of the same page, comparable 76, 1,000 Waverly Street, we have 16,000 square feet with signed a 5-year lease in 2018 for $15.25. Comparable 77 is 870 Pembina. This is the second floor. We have 14,000 square feet at $17 a square foot. If we turn to comparable 80, the last one, 1530 Taylor Avenue, we have 3,613 square feet at $16.50 a square foot. Again, and across our all 89 comparables, we have an average of $15.85 per square foot, a weighted average of $16.01 a square foot, and then we have a range of $10 to $22. Again, our subject property is at $17.25 a square foot, and this is on the towards the higher end of the comparables, again due to the recent renovations. If we turn to page 9, we have when it's a downtown building, the parking is also included. We have 23 stalls on this property at $92 a stall net, and when you cap that at 4.5%, you get $564,000 added on for the parking. And if you look under there, we have comparable properties for 2020. So our reported rental rate for surface parking, we have a wide range downtown. The lowest comparable $63 net, and the highest is $126. But a few examples, we have 168 Edmonton, which is very close to the subject street. This is comparable 7. This is a 25 stalls. They're getting monthly $165 gross, but that's netting out to $81.53. And if you look underneath that at comparable 8, we have 160 Donald. This is a larger lot at 80 stalls. It is netting $87.90. And again, a wide range of downtown parking lots. If we turn to page 11, you will notice we have our standard capitalization rate sheet. If you look at the suburban AOFSs, They range from 5.6 to 6.9, oh, and suburban B as well for the city of Winnipeg. So our 20th and 80th percentile, which is most of the cap rates, are between 5.6 and 6.9. You'll notice this one, our model derives a 4.85% cap rate. So this is on the low end. This is under the 20th percentile. And again, this is one that happens when you have a building that is just recently completely renovated. You know, it's going to draw that. It's going to use a part of that is that lower, or sorry, I should say, the higher effective year closer to the reference date, which is driving a lower cap rate. It's part of it. Again, Colliers for the same for suburban A's, or for suburban B's has 6 to 6.75%. CBRE has 6.5 to 7% for suburban A's, and then suburban B's is 7 to 7.5. Cushman and Wakefield have 6.25 to 7 and 6.75 to 7.75%. If we turn to page 13, the mailer has been filled out by the owner, but again, it's fully owner occupied, so we have expenses only. And then they're showing the total leasable area of 9,312, which matches our records. And I've just included, and there's also the COVID question on question 17. They've indicated there's been a moderate impact to the operation of the property. And then the only thing they filled out that changed was question 4, and they've described the extra expenses as increased cleaning, increased health measures, PPE, and wayfinding. Everything else has been filled out with no. If we turn to page 19, almost done here, just a couple more pages. I've just included an overview of the permits that were taken out after this property was purchased. So you can see this permit here has a date of 2017, and it's for the owner, and there's been interior alterations and occupy for architectural firm in a single tenant multi-floor office building. And so the renovations included interior partitions, millwork, doors, finishes, added structural steel supports for new RTUs, mechanical inside. And then at the bottom right of it, the declared construction value is $2,100,000. And we have on page 20 another permit just for the exterior. They included demolition of existing glazing and installation of new glazing, work to include parapet tie-in work to the building and roof. And then that was another $500,000 in renovations to the property. So again, these are all things that cause that increase in effective year, and would also increase, you know, the rent the owner would expect to get, and drop the cap rate as the risk drops, as you have less to repair in the near future. So again, that's the combination of the building and the parking for a total value of $3,276,000. And that is my presentation. If you have any questions, please let me know. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Spacek. Mr. Smith, any questions on the assessor's evidence presented?
I do, yes. Thank you, Mr. Chair. So in looking at the valuation model for the city's valuation model for the subject property, I see that the parking lot has been split off into its own separate income stream.
Yes.
Capitalized. So it's essentially being treated as a standalone surface parking lot then, is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay. And do you know, or does the city know rather, if the parking lot is separately titled?
I believe it's under the same title as the property. It's all in the same lot.
So, and that was my next question, I guess, is the title indicates that it's all forms part of a single lot, right? So it's not on a separately lot 1, lot 2 either, where it could potentially be split off, correct?
I would agree, yes.
Okay, thank you. I'll just jump back then to, I guess, page number 6 to start with, the rental comparables. So when I reviewed the list here, and I guess it's indicated in the third column, these are all suburban office comparables, right? OFS?
Yes.
But the subject is located in the downtown area?
The subject is downtown, yes.
Could there be a difference in rental rates due to location and market factors? between suburban and downtown?
That is a possibility, yes, absolutely.
Okay, thank you. And then again, just on the comparable, so you had pointed out a number of the larger ones here. So comparable 10, 1150 Waverly, 1595 a square foot. Comparable 34, 895 Waverly, 1550 a square foot. Comparable 50, pardon me, Mr. Laurando, I'm going to probably butcher this, but 215 de Hivernance Boulevard, 1550 a square foot. Comparable 76, 1000 Waverly, 1525, and comparable 81, 850 Pembina at $15 a square foot. So these are all significantly under the projected rents for the subject. Would that not indicate that the model is perhaps on the high side?
I think that, you know, when you look at our building, just the fact that it was recently renovated, there's just something to be said for the, you know, a very higher effective year of this compared to some of the other ones that are built in the early 2000s, especially down Waverly there. But yeah, you know, I will agree that all these comparables I have showed, some of them are around the average rate of 17, and then some of them are lower for sure.
Okay, but those larger ones tend to be lower, correct?
Yes, you know, the theory is economies of scale for sure.
And then capitalization rate. So page number 5, the office income stream that the city has. There's a cap rate of 4.85% applied to the office components. And then when I skip forward to page number 9, the parking lot is capitalized at 4.5% as a separate standalone income stream and surface parking lot, essentially. When I move forward to page 11, the city's cap rate page, it indicates 20th to 80th percentile for downtown, call it downtown B properties here, 6.75%. 4.85, would that not fall outside of even the 0 to 100 for the downtown office?
So are you taking the cap rate for the being outside the 20th percentile?
Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah.
Yes. Would it not fall below the entire range for the city's downtown office rates?
Well, the 20th to 80th, you mean, sorry, can you just ask the question one more time? I think I missed it out on the start of it. Sure,
I may have not been totally clear there. So the cap rate for the office component is 4.85%. Yet when I look at the city's downtown B 20th to 80th range, we have 6.75 to 6.75%. I'm going to assume that 4.85 would probably fall outside of the bounds of the entire 0 to 100 range for the city.
For the OFB? That's only,
yes.
You're talking about OFB? I just, for OFB, yeah, it's we don't have it considered as an OFB. We have it as OFS, which is underneath.
Okay, and there's no parking lot capitalization rates indicated, I gather.
No, all the downtown lots within the shed district are 4.5% for the 2023 cycle.
Okay, those are all of my questions. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Smith. Carrie, do you have any questions of the assessor?
I do, Mr. Chair, just a couple. So your entire brief is model driven, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And you spoke about the renovation back in 2017.
Yes.
Was the property inspected then?
Yeah, I believe when this was put on the roll, the last inspection was by an assessor on our floor just after the renovation, sometime in 2020.
Okay. Do you have any Do you have any notes on the condition of the building?
I don't have any like notes from the person. No, I just have that the renovations were completed and then the occupancy permit of the tenant going in.
Okay. And you may have stated this, but I've missed it. Were the mechanicals upgraded at all in the building?
It says the mechanicals, but I don't have an upgrade of exactly what was done. Like I have a note that all the ductwork and everything was demoed and then redone, but that's all I have for notes.
Okay. And do you know the age of your comparables? Like, for instance, the ones on Waverly that you were listing?
Yeah, the Waverly ones are, most of them are built in the early 2000s. Like
Okay,
1999,
thank you.
2000, that whole strip there.
Correct. And this building was 1958.
Originally built, yeah, and then our effective year
Yeah.
is now 2010.
I thank you. That's all my questions.
Thank you, Carrie. Marcel, any questions of the assessor?
Muted.
I think he's muted. Marcel, we can't hear you.
Got to push my button on. 2010, you said for the age, what brought it up to that? Is it only the permits?
Yeah, just the renovations are what, when this was put on the roll, the effective year was estimated to be 2010 after the renovations.
Would a 2010 building not have a sprinkler system in it?
It's, to be up to code, it would have to.
Yeah, and this one doesn't have it, does it?
I can't confirm, I didn't look for the sprinkler, but I would assume it does. To have a renovation in 2019, it would have to have sprinklers.
On your evidence on page,
permit. I just included two of the permits. Yeah, I didn't include every permit put into this building.
but on page 20, it says no sprinklers.
For that part of the renovation, for sure it could be. I'm just saying I assume there's, I don't know for sure, I can't answer your question.
So the other one doesn't have it listed either. That it usually refers to that there wasn't that much done to the building as far as the overall part. If they don't have to bring it up to code, does it not?
Well, again, all I have is what I've read for the interior alterations. And
Okay,
then
so this is all you're giving us. So we got to go by not sprinkled then, right?
you could definitely assume it's not sprinkled. It's 2019
Thank you.
building renovated.
Going back to your, hate to do this to you, but we got to go back to them again. Your comparisons on page, which one is your best comparable there? I don't see anything that looks like this building in your comparables that's at $17.
Yeah, so I mean, 1150 Waverly is a 2-story OFS.
That's Waverly.
Absolutely, but again, the problem with these types of buildings when owner occupier buys them and renovated, common for lawyers, accountants, architects. You know, they're buying these buildings. It's appealing to them, but then we don't get a net rent from it. So I have to use the best rents we have, which is a lot of 2-story OFSs outside of downtown. Because you're not building many new OFSs downtown, if that makes sense. It's already filled in. So you have to take these downtown ones or outside of downtown that have net rents and use your best of your ability to imagine what would a downtown one go for. So I'm not trying to say they're perfect, but I'm trying to show you a range of rents from $15 to $20 for, you know, larger spaced OFS that would probably be appealing to an architect or lawyer when they're looking for space. That's my take on it. Take it as you will.
Do any of your comparables have elevators?
Do any of my comparables have elevators? I'm assuming all
Your
the
higher end?
2-story OFS ones on Waverly do, but I have not left a column for elevators.
This building does not have one, correct?
You know what? I did not look at the elevator situation.
Well, if you look at the roof, you'll see there's no elevator shaft. The building itself, structurally, the only structural part I see is where they have to replace structural on the one. Oh, you said there's other permits, but you didn't include them all.
I just included the 2 large main permits that I found when I was putting this together.
Okay, I'll leave it at that for now. Thank you.
Thank you, Marcel. Mr. Spacek, what does OFS stand for?
It's just our suburban office category, but again, just
Okay.
any office building 2 and under story, 2 stories and lower.
2 stories and lower. Okay, perfect. Thank you. And I think that's my only question. Jason, is it possible to increase the volume on the assessor's end? I'm getting a lot of echo, and I don't know if I'm the only one.
I can't on my end. You can try walking through the mics. Mr. Assessor, have you configured your input for your mic?
So I put my mic up to, and I even asked, and we put a brand new webcam in here, so I don't know what it is, but I put the audio settings and the mic to completely full, and maybe that's causing an issue. Maybe no, it only has one fully full volume. So I have input level volume full.
Okay.
I'll try suppression high, maybe will help for audio. We'll see. Hopefully that helps.
Okay, and maybe if you could speak a bit louder, that would be.
Yeah, I'm really yelling at the camera. Does that help?
Okay. Okay. That's better, actually. Okay, thank you. Mr. Smith, just bear with us 1 second while we pull up your brief, please. Mr. Smith, 385 St. Mary Avenue, when you're ready, please.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. So the subject property today is 385 St. Mary Avenue. Is a two-story downtown office building. It would be, there's quite a number of these in the downtown area, so it would really be either a downtown C-class building or fall in that kind of nebulous category under that D, or I'm not sure what the city would have as far as classification, but it's not an OFS property, as it is not a suburban property. And there's other examples of buildings of this size of 2 stories in the downtown area. The markets are very different between suburban and downtown, as you can see from the city's capitalization rate chart. Getting back to the subject property itself. So property did sell to the current owners in 2016 and has been subsequently renovated. It was purchased by an architecture firm and renovated for their particular use. So they, as you can see from the permits, they demolished the interior office space entirely, so it was fully open plan. Did the required work with regard to electrical and HVAC as far as ducting and meeting code for those issues. But the build out of the space was suited to their particular needs as far as collaboration goes. So they built it out as fully open plan with some smaller meeting areas and coffee areas, things of that nature, as you'll see from the photos themselves. Now, the building itself is from 1958, as you can see from the exterior photo there. It's not sprinklered and there is no elevator in place. So all employees and visitors need to take the stairs to get to the second floor. Let's move forward to my page number 3, I guess. So subject property 2023 assessment of $3,276,000. The 2020 assessment was appealed to the Board of Revision and was confirmed at that level of $2.8 million. This has been appealed to the municipal board and we're awaiting scheduling for that. The leasable area for the property is shown there on page number 3. And again, the original age of the structure is 1958. So structurally, all that has been done is the demolition, and I think they put in one steel beam in the structure as well. Let's move forward to the photos. Page 4, you can see the exterior, and then we get into the inside. So as far as build out goes, it's essentially very minimal. As I've noted, it's all open plan. You have the structural elements of the roof and the steel support beams going through floor to ceiling. And the flooring is actually the original poured floor, and it's simply been polished. So there's no additional either carpeting or flooring that's been put down. Some of the file rooms and the kitchen area are shown there, but by and large, the building is open plan. Now, having worked in one of these spaces, it doesn't necessarily suit every office environment. Certainly for this particular firm, collaboration is important, and that's how they've set it up. In going through and doing the inspection, I can tell you that a lot of the employees have their headphones on in order to avoid distractions. Open plan is what it is. It's I'm not going to say it's flavor of the month necessarily, but it's been overemphasized as far as a means of increasing production, certainly. So when we look at this particular building and the layout of it, again, that open plan space is not going to suit every potential tenant that's out there, and it indeed would turn quite a number of them away. So moving forward, page number 7, you can see the exterior parking area. It's not a parking lot. It actually forms part of the same title as the subject property, or rather the building. You can see the condition of the exterior. There's actually less stalls on site than the city has. In terms of the number of stalls, you can probably count them on page number 8 there. The location of the property is shown on page number 9, 385 St. Mary, obviously towards the west end of St. Mary Avenue in the downtown core. Site plan shown on page number 8. And as you can see, the building and the parking lot form a single unit. Let's move forward to page number 10. So I put in a couple of definitions here. We have our standard definition of market value, which I'm sure you've all seen. I'm not going to run through the details there. The second definition of value in use. So value in use is the value of an economic commodity to its owner user that is based on the productivity, income potential, utility, or amenities of the economic commodity to a specific individual, in this case being the property owner. Value in use is peculiar to the perceptions of utility from use of the individual user. It is difficult to measure objectively because no pattern of market behavior is available to the analyst. Value in use is usually greater than market value in as much as it represents market value plus a special value to the owner. So as an architecture firm, this particular owner had requirements that when they purchase a property, they buy it right in the downtown core, and they obviously lay it out for their internal use, but they use it as somewhat of a demonstration of their particular expertise. So there is additional value to them in doing the renovations that they have done that are beyond what one would see as far as a market value in the open market. Property sale history there, again, indicated October 11, 2016, reported at $1,850,000. And we're now looking post renovation at a value, or an assessed value rather, of $3,276,000. So almost double what that initial purchase price was in 2016. let's move forward into the valuation itself. The income approach is shown on page 12. Obviously, it's owner occupied, so there is no lease in place. We are looking at rental comparables on page number 12 as of the reference date, April 1, 2021, not 2018. And the rental comparables are shown there for you on page number 12. So these are all from the downtown area, generally from the area between Broadway and Portage Avenue. I see we have one suburban one put in for size. So starting at the top, 260 St. Mary, this is a chain and it's commercial, so it's not office, but was put in because it's on St. Mary's main floor space. 1,589 square feet, rented at $1,650. It was built out for a chain fast food restaurant in the base of an office building, similar to the subject. Further to the east, second one, 365 Hargrave, 2020 lease at $12.50 a square foot, 6,300 square feet. Obviously older, built in 22, subject being built in 58. 1661 Portage, 2019 lease at $15.50 a square foot for a larger space at 6,600 square feet. 1150 Waverly, built in 71, 2020 lease at $15 a square foot. Now that is suburban, but it was put in for the size of the lease at 5,000 square feet. We can go onwards. I won't run through each of these. Obviously, they do, as you can see, center in that area between Broadway and Portage in the downtown core. They're all in that 1962 to 1990 range, a lot in the 70s, and the leases are fairly recent, generally all of a slight similar size to the subject, and they're in that 14 to 1650 per square foot range for a smaller space built out as a chain restaurant. So generally we're seeing rents focused in and around $14 to $15 per square foot. We do have some basement space. The city had formerly used, included the basement space. We have done so in this particular instance. We've given you basement space comparables on page number 13. They're there for you to see. They run from $8 to $9 essentially. Very little basement space is ever leased. However, these are the comparables that we have available. So looking at the market data, we have Cushman and Wakefield's second quarter 2021 office market publication indicating Class C office building in the downtown area, which the subject would fall within, being at $11.68 a square foot. Class B, which would be typically a step up from the subject, at $15.59 a square foot, if you look at the chart there. Bottom of the page, Capital Commercial office space indicating Class C office space at $12.91 a square foot, Class B at $14.96 a square foot. In addition to that, if we look at the city's evidence and the comps that I had pointed out that were utilized generally on Waverly or Pembina, they were all between $15 and $15.95 a square foot. All of a similar size and generally more recent than the subject. So when we look at the subject, we have a two-story walk-up office building originally built in 58. We've described it extensively. We have used a net rental rate of $15.50 for the main floor space and $14.50 for the second floor walk-up space. And we've applied a $10 a square foot rental rate to the 1,140 square feet in the basement, giving us our gross rental revenue of $135,150. Now we can move on to the parking aspect. The subject property's parking is assigned to the employees of the company. They don't pay a charge for that parking as shown on the income and expense questionnaire. The property is all on a single title. There is no individual separate lot title wise either, so it can't be split off and sold as a surface parking lot. And beyond that, the parking is critical to the operation of the office building itself, so it would never be sold off as a separate portion. So it can't be valued as a standalone parking lot. It has to be valued as part of the whole. Any potential purchaser buying the property would be buying the parking along with the structure itself as a whole unit, and would not separately split it off as its own income stream and capitalize it on that basis. So what we have done is assign City of Winnipeg's net rental amount of $25,392 in our valuation, and that's capitalized within the single income stream. Let's move on to the expenses. Class C downtown office space ranging with vacancy ranging between 13.3% and 19.5%. According to the industry experts, as shown on the chart at the top of the page. Obviously, that's significantly greater in vacancy than the subject has. All downtown office space has significant vacancy. We have elected to decrease this amount to 5.5% in our analysis and recognize any additional risk in the capitalization rate. Now, it's owner occupied, so we're compensating for that vacancy issue right there. Expense allowance, each of you has heard my discussion with regard to this. Suffice it to say, we have an overall expense allowance rate of 7% based on the information I've presented in my report. It's all there for you to review if you wish. Our shortfall amount, we defer to the City of Winnipeg's $8 a square foot. Subject would actually have $10.45 a square foot as of the end of 2020. However, we've deferred to the $8, and we can move on to capitalization rate. So looking at my page number 17, we have two things for you. We have the industry experts, Cushman, Wakefield, and Colliers at the top of the page. They're indicating Class B downtown office space at 6.5% to 7%. And 6 to 6.75%, equally between respectively between Cushman and Colliers. There's a typo here. Property is not a suburban Class B property. It is a downtown office property. You can see our capitalization rate chart at the bottom of the page. These are all actual transactions in the relevant time frame of office properties purchased for investment. You can see the details with regard to them. Sale dates indicated between 2017 and 2019. We essentially didn't see any transactions during the COVID timeframe. And our capitalization rates, as shown here, range between a low of 6.5% for a quality property on Waverly, up to a high of 8.4% for a smaller property located on Sherbrooke. Now, the bulk of these are in the 6.5% to 7% range. So essentially mimicking what the industry experts at the top of the page are indicating. So let's take a quick look at what these transactions were. They're shown on pages 18, 19, and 20. So significantly more substantial properties and more premier properties in a number of cases. Now, let's move forward to our summary on page number 21. So what would an appropriate cap rate for the subject property be? Well, we do recognize the size of the property being somewhat smaller and drawing potentially additional purchasers. So we have gone to the low end of the cap rate range at 6%, as indicated on page 21. So our market value is summarized on the left-hand side of the chart. Our overall average rental rate is $14.39. Again, that's $15.50 for the top floor, or rather main floor, $14.50 for the top floor and $10 for the basement area. We've decreased the vacancy to 5.5%. We've deferred to the city's shortfall at $8 a square foot. And our capitalization rate of 6% gives us a final market value of $1,973,000. Now, I should note that that takes into account the parking income as indicated in that chart towards the top. City of Winnipeg's valuation for 2023 and 2020 are indicated adjacent to that. And the addenda includes the income and expense, as well as the relevant publications from Colliers, Cushman, and Capital. I am happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you, Mr. Smith. Mr. Spacek, any questions of the applicant's evidence?
I have no questions. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Marcel, any questions of the applicant?
Marcel, you're muted.
I noted that a lot of these buildings in this area have their lots available for rent at night. Is this one of the ones that Impark has picked up for evening parking?
I can't actually answer that, as I'm not certain of that. I did not check with them if they rent it out in the evenings, but certainly the intent of the lot is as employee parking. If they do that, I'm unaware of it.
Okay, thank you. That's it.
Thank you, Marcel. Carrie, any questions of the applicant?
Yes, Mr. Smith, I'm assuming you've inspected this property
I have, yes.
and you took the pictures.
I did, yes.
Okay, and when did you do that?
We took the photos prior to the appeal in the 2020 cycle. So it would have been in the fall of 2019 or early 2020. But it hasn't been changed since that time.
All right. And I thank you. That's all my questions, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Carrie. Mr. Smith, my first question is, looking at the pictures and your inspection of the property, what is your opinion of the effective year built on this property?
I guess, Mr. Chair, I don't usually get into assigning an effective year built. That's a calculation that the City of Winnipeg Assessment Department does internally. Certainly, the property has been recently renovated, so it's not a 1958 property, other than the structural components of it are of that date. Of course, the roof wasn't replaced. Foundation and walls, etc., have not been done, but it has been updated quite clearly from the photos. But I would, putting a date for effective year, I wouldn't do that.
Okay, thank you. On page 14, your calculation of the rent used. I'm wondering in the chart there you've provided for the 3 levels of improvements, you're coming up with a rate, I believe, of $14.39. Is that right? That's what you're using. Yeah. I'm wondering where that number comes from.
So the $14.39, if you look at the chart there, so I've signed different rents to the different levels. the building is not elevated, so walk-up space on a second floor office would rent for less. So I've assigned $15.50 to the main floor, $14.50 to the second floor, and then the basement space, which would be unlikely to rent, but is there. We applied $10 per square foot to it. So if you add up the annual revenues, they come to 135,150 divided by the overall area of 9390 gives us the average of 1439.
Okay. And that's what you're using in your calculation, 1439. Okay, thank you. And my last question is, you are accepting the city's net operating income on the parking?
We, for lack of additional information, yes, we are. There are actually less parking stalls than the city indicates, but I don't have that unit count before us today. So we're accepting that the revenue is roughly accurate. Yes, just not the valuation of it as a separate parking lot.
But just to confirm, you are the city's net operating income is 25,392, and I believe that's what you're using in your summary of both for your NOI.
Yes, we did include that parking revenue in our valuation model. Yes.
Okay, perfect. Okay, thank you. That is all my questions. Does either party have a requirement for summary? Mr. Spacek?
I'm okay, thank you.
Mr. Smith?
No, thank you.
Okay, thank you. That concludes item number 1, 385 St. Mary Avenue. Excuse me. Next property on the docket will be item number. Does anybody need a quick break?
Yes, Mr. Chair, could we just take a 5-minute break?
Okay, we will recess for 5 minutes, please.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jason. Excuse me. I will now call the hearing back to order. Next property on the docket is item number 7, file number 22-2234. Address is 1475 Chevrier Boulevard, and we're dealing with a 2023 Realty Assessment Appeal. Mr. Spacek, when you're ready, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We are looking at roll number 03091248,500, address 1475 Chevrier Boulevard. This is just west of Pembina Highway. If you look at the top of my page 2, you will see a overview map. We have a 1979 built OFS, so it's a 2-story office building, and then on the back there is approximately 2,376 square feet of garage/storage warehouse. Again, this is a total gross floor area across the whole building of 16,800 with a leasable area of 15,642. There is a large lot of land on the back. We have a land to plan area of 11.61 on this property. And if we turn to page 3, we've included some interior photos that were taken, showing some of the office space and condition of the property. So our first income stream is on page 5. This is to represent the back garage portion of the property. We have a modeled 2,376 square feet with a storage warehouse rate of $878. This has all the standard storage warehouse parameters of 3.5% vacancy, 3% expenses, $3.85 shortfall, and a 5.35% cap. This gives a total value of the garage portion of $359,000. And then if we turn to page 6, the next page, we have the income workup for the office portion of the building. We have a total of 13,266 square feet split up between substandard basement, main floor, and second floor. So the substandard basement is getting $3.88 a square foot. The main floor is getting $15.45, and the second floor is getting $13.67. This is an average of $11.16, a blended rate across the whole building of $11.16. Again, following our standard OFS parameters, we get a 6% vacancy loss, 3% expenses, $8 shortfall, and then this property, due to its age and location, is getting an overall cap rate of 6.6% from the model. This gives us a total value of the office building of $1,949,000. And if we turn to page 7, again, I'll just quickly point out, I went over a bunch of the Waverly and some of the larger OFSs on our last one, but this one is, again, more of an industrial location. If you turn to comparable 25, we have 75 Squarefield Boulevard, which is not far away. It's got a 2020 lease of 4 years for 2,000 square feet at $13. And this is more of a single story, office location on Squarefield. If we turn to the next page, page 8, we have comparable 60 and 61. This is 440 and 430 Dover Court Drive. So in my eyes, pretty similar to the subject property. These are one-story office with kind of that flex space in it. It has two 5-year leases on the buildings. One is 9,600 square feet at $13.50, and then comparable 61, which is 430 Dover Court. It has 2,750 square feet at $13.50. And again, our main floor rents on this property are $13.67 and $15.45 for the 2 floors. And if we turn to the bottom of page 9, I've just included a few storage warehouse comparables. You'll notice we have a range from $7 to $12. And our subject property is at $8.78 for the storage warehouse, so at the lower range of this. But if you look at 12 Chester Street is comparable $7. This is off in Narren, in more of the industrial area of Narren back there. And you have a 5,212 square foot storage warehouse at $8.81. And then comparable 8 is 21 Keenly Side in that same Narren area. It's a 1973 built 3-year lease of 6,000 square feet at $7.27. Again, in range of our subject at $8.78. And our capitalization rates on page 11, I went over them on the last one, but our suburban BOFS is between 5.6 and 6.9. And our subject property is at 6.6 for the office portion. And the mailer has been filled out by the owner. Page 13, they have 15,642 square feet. So we're matching on the total leasable area. They have a mix of net and gross leases in this property. You can see they're getting a rental income of around approximately $243,000. And then after recoveries, $279,000. And then they are including, a $126,000 property management and admin, which kind of throws it off. It seems like a high property management fee. So you're getting a negative NOI. And then if we turn to page 15, you'll see that as of December 1st, 2019, there was a 5-year lease signed for the main floor, 5,775 square feet. And they have a monthly rent that works out to $13.86 net in place. And then it looks like for the second floor, unit 200, and the lower level and the whole yard is leased out to Canterra. And then they have a 5-year lease, but it is semi-gross. If we turn to our COVID questionnaire on page 17, you'll notice they've just put has not impacted. And then question 4, it says the increased property expenses. They said they don't know due to COVID yet, but then they've answered no on all the questions for the COVID questionnaire. So that is a review of my brief. And if you have any questions, please let me know. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Spacek. Mr. Smith, any questions on the evidence presented by the assessor?
Yes, just a few. I guess I should have asked this with the first property, but given workload at the city, you probably haven't had an opportunity to inspect any of the properties today?
No, I haven't been through this one in person.
Okay. And looking at the valuation model for the subject here, so again, it's broken the property out into 2 separate income streams and capitalized them separately. So these are both model driven, I'm assuming?
All model driven. I haven't touched these.
Okay, so we'd be looking at essentially a standalone warehouse of 2,376 square feet to get a cap rate of 5.35%.
Yes.
So that would be influenced by the size.
Yeah, size, location, age, all play a factor.
Okay. And So looking at the office portion, so the two, the main floor and the second floor, the model is assigned $15.45 to the main floor, I'm assuming, and $13.67 to the second floor.
Yes, that is my understanding.
Okay, and the comparable that you had pointed out, I believe, for on page number 8, comparables 60 and 61, the Dovercourt property there, they're at $13.50 a square foot.
That's my understanding, yes.
And is that the property, is that the Bayer Chemicals or Bayer Pharmaceuticals rather?
You know what? I know we've had it, I believe, on appeal before. The actual tenant, I don't have the list of, but
okay.
You know, it's the two buildings on the one property on the Dovercourt.
Okay. I think those are all.
Sorry, it's Wood and Bayer. You're right. It's Bayer.
Okay. And that was done in 2019. Okay.
5-year leases.
So the cap rate for the office portion here is 6.6%. Okay, those are all of my questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Smith. Marcel, any questions of the assessor?
No, I do not.
Thank you. Harry, any questions of the assessor?
Yes, just one question. So, Mr. Spacek, you indicated that you did not inspect this property.
Yes, that's what I said.
Okay, so page 3, there's photos.
Yes.
Where did you get the photos from?
I got them from our photos drive.
From, I'm sorry, come again?
We have a drive of photos of different properties, and this one was in the photos. So somebody had inspected this property, and
Okay.
I used those photos.
Thank you. And do you know when those photos were taken?
I don't have an exact date. It was before the 2020 appeal and after the 2018 appeal.
Okay. I thank you. That's all my questions.
Thank you, Carrie. Mr. Spacek, excuse me. Page your income workup on the office portion. Sorry. Page number 6. Could you provide the blended rate, please?
Yeah, it's for the whole building, including the basement, it's $11.16.
Okay, thank you. And my second question is, you mentioned, I guess on the INE submitted, there was a lease in place on the main floor. Would you mind repeating what that lease rate was?
Yeah, I have it's $13.86 net.
$13.86?
Yeah.
That's for the main floor portion only?
That's for volume freight at unit 100, which it's including more. It's 5,775 square feet. It has that as the main floor, but I'm not sure what else that includes if it's part of the second to make up that, because we only have the first floor as 4,500 square feet. So I don't know the exact rest of it, but that's what the square footage is being leased out.
Okay. Is it possible that that's the basement portion?
It says Cantera has the lower level, so I don't think so.
Yeah.
I think it would either include part of that garage, the storage warehouse, but I don't know for sure. So
okay. Okay.
That's just what they're reporting and showing.
All right, perfect. All right, thank you. That's all my questions. Mr. Smith, we're going to get to your brief, please, before we proceed.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. So subject property is 1475 Chevrier Boulevard. It's dominantly a suburban office building built in 1979 with a very small warehouse portion at the rear of the building and some exterior yard area. So that's the setup. Cantera Seeds has been a tenant there for some time. but they have experienced vacancy in the space that they have not occupied. So let's look at my page number 3. So the subject property assessed in 2023 at $2,308,000. Again, we're looking at a 52% increase in assessed value over the 2020 assessment, which was reduced, as you can see, to $1,520,000. That's still under appeal at the municipal board, as is the 2018 decision, both appealed by the appellant. The subject property, again, built in 1979, and we have a slightly different leasable area than the city does. We have 16,050 square feet, that should read, for leasable area. The photos of the property begin on page number 4. Property isn't elevated. So it's a stairwell to the second floor. It is somewhat vintage. The main floor has somewhat recently been tenanted, as you can see in the I&E, as mentioned by the city. So the main floor space, when I inspected the property previously, looked like the bottom of page number 5. And the top of page number 6. Now the second floor space, make sure I have the correct spaces here. Yes, the second floor space looks like 1979. So if you look at the bottom of page 6, you can see the original carpeting there, the type of wall treatment, et cetera, et cetera. That's what the second floor looks like. So the space itself would not draw a rental rate that would be comparable to other suburban office space that is more recently constructed or more recently redone internally. The warehouse space is shown at the bottom of page 7. Again, it's 2,376 square feet. 2 overhead doors to access that, and then there's a rear yard area. The description is on page number 9 for you. I won't run through that, and the site is shown on page number 10, just off of Chevrier Boulevard there. Obviously, and the location in Fort Garry Industrial shown on page 11. Let's move forward to the valuation. So as Jonathan had indicated, there is a lease on the main floor space now, as of late 2019 at $13.85 a square foot. The second floor space leased to Cantera at a net rate of $7.50 a square foot. And then they have the lower level space of 3,453 square feet occupied by Cantera as well for storage at $5.70 a square foot. The warehouse space being leased at $4.66 a square foot. So our total leasable area, as you can see, according to the leases, comes to 16,050 square feet. And our annual income of $144,025. So these are all in-place leases. We move forward. We can look at comparables for the subject property. I would point out the city's mention of that property on Dover Court at $13.50 a square foot. Superior property to the subject, it's leasing at $13.50. The subject's main floor is leased at $13.85 a square foot recently, but the second floor is substandard space in terms of the build out and is again accessed via stairwell without any elevator. So our comparables are shown on page number 14. These are largely suburban in the same area as the subject. They range from a low of $9 a square foot and $9.50 a square foot for a number of properties on Pembina Highway, 106 Kerfield, number 5, built in 88, a lease at $10.50 a square foot. And then we have the same Dover Court comp at $13.50 a square foot. So that is the range that we were seeing for office space in the subject area. We've also included a number of warehouse comparables at the bottom of page 14 of similar sized space, of a similar vintage, similar utility, and those range from $4.75 up to $5.25 per square foot. So those are the comparables that we felt were informative for the subject. As far as basement space, I see that I didn't include that particular chart. If you refer back to my brief on 385 St. Mary, you can see that we did include basement comparables, and they ranged between a low of $6.50 and a high of $9 per square foot. With the majority of them between $8 and $9 per square foot, including on Buffalo Place in the Fort Garry industrial area. We've included the same market statistics on page 15 from both Colliers and Capital with regard to suburban office average rents. Subject property would generally be inferior to a lot of the more recent suburban office space that's out there, which needs to be kept in mind when we look at the rates that we've applied. So we have bumped a couple of the rates on the subject. We've applied the actual rental rate for the main floor of $13.85 a square foot. I've assigned $10 per square foot net to that second floor space that looks like you stepped out of J.R. Ewing's office from Dallas. The lower level, we've bumped the rate from $5.70 a square foot to $8 a square foot. And the warehouse space, we've bumped from $4.66 that the tenant is paying to $5 per square foot, giving us an overall average of $10.21, as shown on the bottom of page 15. Vacancy shown on page 16, we've assigned a vacancy rate of 6%, which coincides with the Johnson report, essentially with a slight increase based on Cushman, Wakefield, and Collier's calculations. Our expense allowance discussion is there for you to review. And we've deferred to the $8 shortfall allowance. Moving on to capitalization rate. So subject property is compared to the capitalization discussion on page 18. We've given you Cushman and Wakefield and Collier's capitalization rate publications as of the valuation date. We're looking at a maximum suburban class B property, and we're looking at a range of 6.75 to 7.75 for Cushman Wakefield, 6 to 6.75% for Colliers. Below that, we provide you with our capitalization rate study, which we've presented in the first property under appeal. Exact same study. Our range runs from a low of 6.5% up to a high of 8.7%. The property in the immediate area that is traded, 1000 Waverly, trading in 2019 at a cap rate of 6.5%, significantly larger property, selling at $12.9 million, built in 1966, been significantly upgraded since that time. Pardon me. Superior Properties overall in this range. However, the subject property is located in the Fort Garry area, so there is good demand in that area. We have taken that into account. The general range that we're seeing is in that 6.5% to call it 7.5% range based on the information on page 18 for office properties. We've given you photos of each of these transactions on the following pages 19 through 21. In addition, and we're not valuing the industrial component separately, as it would not be valued on the marketplace separately, but we've provided you background on industrial capitalization rates at the top of page 22. So these were all investment sales purchased for the in-place return to the investor, and the transactions ranged between a low of 6.6% and a high of 7.8%, generally in that 7 to 7.5% range. So on the open market, again, the warehouse would not be broken out from the property as a whole. Any astute investor would buy the property based on a single capitalization rate for the entire investment package. And we have assigned a cap rate of 7% based on our analysis. So page number 22 summarizes this detail. We have increased the rental rates for the portions where appropriate based on the condition of the property. And we have assigned the cap rate of 7% for the overall development, which gives us a final market value of $1,936,000. And the addendum materials simply include the income and expense, as well as the relevant industry players' capitalization rate publications. And I'm open for questions.
Thank you, Mr. Smith. Mr. Spasek, do you have any questions of the applicant's evidence?
I have no questions, thank you.
Thank you. Carrie, any questions?
Yes, just one question. Mr. Smith, I'm assuming you've inspected this property.
I have, yes.
Okay. And when was that?
I'm afraid I don't have the actual date, but it would have been prior to the 2020 appeal.
Okay, thank you. You mentioned at the beginning, discussing your brief, that there was some vacancy to this property, and sorry, I didn't quite catch it all. If you could speak to that.
I apologize. They have formerly had vacancy issues with the subject property, but as of the valuation date, it was fully occupied. But in prior cycles, they had difficulty in renting out the office components.
Okay, I thank you for that clarification. That's all my questions, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Carrie. Marcel, any questions of the applicant?
Yeah, I'm just wondering why, for your potential rent income on your chart, you come up with 163,000, but previously, did you not mention 144,000 was the actual at 897 rent?
So, yes, I did. So if we look at page number 14, the actual in-place revenue, gross revenue comes to $144,025. That's the in-place. However, their lease expires in 2021, that being Cantera. So there is likely to be some slight changes to that. Now, their space is not high end, so it's not going to necessarily come up to what one would see in other other office spaces in the area, but I did feel that it was appropriate to increase the rents to the Cantera occupied spaces. So I bumped the second floor to $10 a square foot. Again, that's the wood paneled office space. I bumped the lower level to $8 a square foot from $5.70, and the warehouse I increased to $5 a square foot.
Great.
Reflective of the valuation date.
Effective gross is 153. Yeah, I'm good. Thank you.
Thanks, Marcel. Mr. Smith, I was going to start with a joke about the premium for the J.R. Ewing rental space, but we'll leave it.
It doesn't come with the drink tray.
Just remember the safe is in that right-hand corner.
Page 15, I think you just referred to it. So these are the rates you're using for your workup. Is that correct? You've advised them? Okay.
That's correct.
An average of 1021. Then we go to page, let's see, where's your workup? There we go. Page 22. Okay, 1021. All right. And you blended the shop in with the office. That's to come up with your NOI.
That's the overall average, so 1021, yes.
Okay, perfect. Okay. Just so I understand that. Okay, I understand now. Okay, thank you. That's all my questions. Any requirement for summary by either party?
No, thank you.
I'm fine. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Mr. Smith, you're good?
I'm fine. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Okay. That concludes 1475 Chevrolet Boulevard. Next item on the docket is item number 8. File number 22-2967. Address is 476 Provencher Boulevard. And we're dealing with a 2023 Realty appeal. And Mr. Spacek, bear with me 1 second till we get your brief up. Okay, sir, when you're ready, 476 Provencher Boulevard.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We are looking at roll number 0605011150. This is again, 476 Provencher Boulevard. You can see exactly where it is on page 2. This is just west of Archibald, where Provencher hits Archibald. We have a 2023 value of $974,000. This was an actual building in 1988. It was used as a vehicle service garage, and in 2020 it went through renovations. Similar story to our first. An insurance company bought it, put in some renovations, and now it is a 3,165-foot OFS, or suburban office. Again, used for the owner occupiers as an insurance office. We have an effective year of 2015 after renovations. And if we turn to page 2, you'll see a picture of this. And page 3, we have a picture of the building as it stands now. 2019, the owners bought the building for $540,000. And they put in approximately, just again, renovations on, just some information on page 19 and 20. They've provided cost of construction. They've PMC, insurance broker, interior and exterior alteration, change of use and occupancy for an office. Work include remove interior partition walls and existing canopy, construct new partition walls to create office, construct the mezz, remove and replace windows and doors, and add new openings. New finishes, flooring and fixtures, new exterior cladding, structural, mechanical, and electrical work to be done. So that's approximately declared $500,000. And after we've put it in our system for 2020, our 2023 value is on page 5. We can see the income workup. We have 3,165 square feet, model driven rent of $18.42. We have our standard OFS parameters, 6% vacancy, 3% expenses, $8 shortfall, and a model driven cap of 5.3%. This is the total value of 974, pretty straightforward one. Again, large list of comparables. not too many with a smaller footprint like this and, you know, on Provencher. But if we look at page, where do I have it here? So at the bottom of page 6, or sorry, yeah, bottom of page 6, which is my first page of comparables, we have 131 Provencher, which this is the corner of Provencher and Taché. It's a 3-story office building, but you can get on the second floor, you can get a 1,500 square feet of space for $14. So that's the closest comparable location wise. And then if we're looking size wise, comparable 19, this is 900 Cordon. This is a 1,800 square foot small, you know, retail office that was converted to a building used for a design office now. And it has a 4-year lease signed in 2020 for $18.25. So you can get an idea of what these smaller, what a smaller, you know, recently renovated can get on Cordon. If we turn to my page 12, just again, the capitalization rate, our 20th percentile for OFSs is between 5.6 and 6.9. So again, we're just under at that 20th percentile at 5.3%. And again, the mailer on page 14 has been sent in. You can see it's owner occupied. And the COVID questionnaire mailer was filled out with a minor impact. And it just says they were, question 2, the tenants, or they were closed for a while due to the pandemic, and then nothing else has been filled out for any information. But yeah, that is my presentation. If you have any more questions, please let me know. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Smith, any questions on the assessor's evidence presented?
Yes, just 2, I guess, basically. So the page number 5, this is a model driven workup.
Yes.
So the 1842 would be driven by size and I guess the effective year that's been put on the property.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so when I flip forward to the rental comparables on pages 6, 7, and 8, I guess it is. So the model is used $18.42. When I look at the rental comparables that are in the St. Boniface area, largely on Provencher, they range between $14 and $15.50 a square foot. So I'll just quickly point them out. So comp 41, you had mentioned on page 6 at $14 a square foot. Comp 50, little larger at 6,000 square feet, $15.50 a square foot. 64 through 67 at 383 Provencher, between $14.25 and $15 a square foot. And then comp 74 and 75 at 383 and 131 Provencher at 15 and 15.35 a square foot. Locationally, would this indicate that the model is perhaps overestimating what the market rental rate would be for the subject?
I think there's definitely a range on Provencher, and I think now that you bring them up, you made me miss comparable 47, which is main floor of 131 Provencher. It's
Correct.
a 5-year lease at 2,000 square feet at $19. And so like there's definitely a range. I think 131 Provencher is built around 1987, 1990. So it's an older building with not as many upgrades. Again, in my mind, we should be at the upper end because it was recently renovated. It's a smaller square footage, but yes, there is definitely a range. I don't disagree with that, but you know, how much we're overshooting by, if we are, you know, I don't think it's a huge amount.
Okay, and the capitalization rate of 5.3% again is below the 20th percentile of the city's information?
Yes, true.
Okay. Those are all of my questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Smith. Marcel, any questions of the assessor?
No, I think he's asked my questions.
Thank you. Carrie, any questions?
Yes, just a couple, Mr. Chair. Thank you. Did you inspect the property?
Never been in it, no. just had to look at the
Okay.
pictures.
Did you have a permit on the renos?
Just,
Mhm.
I just included a page of it, the application on page 9 for the what's being done and the estimated cost of construction.
Okay, thank you. And so when Mr. Smith brought up that the other some of the comparables that you had in St. Boniface, I think he was indicating that he thought that your rental was a little high, and then you brought up comparable 47.
Or,
With,
yeah,
right. And so were there renovations done to that property?
no, from my understanding, 131 Provencher is pretty original. I don't know of any major renovations done to that property,
Okay,
and it can still get, it's just, yeah, that's the question. Yes.
all right. And I thank you. That's all my questions, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Kim.
I do have a question, actually, if you don't mind, Mr. Chair.
No, go ahead, Marcel.
131 Provencher, what's it used for?
I believe it's mixed. I'd have to look. I believe it's on the corner of Provencher and Taché off memory. I believe there's a library in there. I'd have to look to make sure though.
The city library, isn't it? Is it a city library?
Part of it is
Yeah.
the city library, yeah.
So city's got the whole lease or part of the lease in it?
No, they just have one unit in the building, and I believe it's like around $12, if my memory serves me correctly, one of those leases.
Okay. So some of the leases in that building are less than the 19, correct?
Absolutely, there's a range in that building. I've shown a second floor for 14, you know, there's a range.
Yeah. The second floor was at 14. And,
Yeah, one
and
of the
the first
units in the second floor.
part of the first floor, the 19, who was that? Who was paying 19 in there?
I would have to look. I don't have that with me.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Marcel. Mr. Spasek, I'm looking at the photo on page 2, and because of the angle of the bird's eye view there, does the parking space included with this subject property?
Yeah, that whole lot is used. Yeah,
Okay.
the owner has that whole lot to use as they please.
Okay. And my second question is the history of the property. Was it demolished or was it remodeled with that permit?
Remodeled. Yeah, the original structure is still there.
And the previous use was an auto garage, is that right?
Yeah, it was at some point it was used as before this it was used as like a car dealer, like a used car dealership, auto body. You know, it had on the right side. On the right side, you can see on the bottom of page 2, it used to be a garage door there. That's how the building was set up.
Okay, I see. So they purchased that auto dealership lot and the showroom and maybe a repair shop or something.
Yeah, it was just that vehicle service garage kind of use, and then they bought it for $540 in 2019.
And converted it with that permit after the sale, right?
Yes.
And your effective year built is 1988?
Actual year built 1988, the garage, and then it's been with the renovations, the effective year is 2015.
Oh, okay. So the original was 1988 and now it's 2015 after renovations. Okay. Okay. And it's owner occupied, is that correct?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, that's all my questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Mr. Smith, bear with me 1 second while I pull up your brief, please. Okay, Mr. Smith, when you're ready, 476 Provencher Boulevard.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So as Jonathan has indicated, subject property was formerly an auto repair location. Was purchased, originally built in 1988 and renovated subsequent to the purchase of the property by the current owner. Was bought in July 2019 for $540,000. Purchased by the owner of the insurance firm that occupies it, so it's owner occupied, and the total leasable area for the subject is 3,165 square feet. Now, if you look at my page number 3, you can see that the property was reduced for the 2022 assessment year. The photos of the property begin on page number 4. And a couple of exteriors, including the parking lot, as well as the frontage on Provencher. So it's towards the east end of Provencher, coming up to Archibald. The interior shown at the bottom of page 5. So again, they demolished the interior of the property and its open plan space, as you can see, used for their insurance company. Photos are shown there. They do have a breakout room for a boardroom, and they do have individual calling areas as shown on the bottom of page number 7, but largely it is open plan. So the flooring is polished floor from the original building, and they have open deck roof, as well as the structural components by and large, as you can see. Now, was done relatively nicely, but again, it is that open plan space that's not conducive to every potential tenant or purchaser. Moving on, the site is shown on page number 9. Unfortunately, I didn't have a more recent aerial that I could provide, so this does indicate the property as the former auto garage. You can see the cars on site as indicated, and the location towards the eastern end of Provencher before Archibald, as shown on page number 10. We can move forward to the valuation itself. Being owner occupied, there is no lease in place to rely upon. Ultimately, we have assigned a net rental rate of $15.50 a square foot. If you go back to the city's information, all of the information with the exception of one lease in 131 Provencher ranged between $14 and $15.50 per square foot for the St. Boniface locations, all of them being on Provencher, I believe. 131 Provencher is an elevated property, and as you head over the bridge from downtown, it's the property right on the northeast corner of Taché and Provencher. Is 3-story office. I'm not sure what the $19 square foot lease is, but the remainder of the space in that building, or the rents that we see, are somewhat lower. The rental comparables that I had available to me are presented on page number 13. We felt these were the most comparable. They're not all suburban office, as you can see. Some of them are, but some of them are from downtown. We're looking for most comparable properties that were available. So we're looking at size, location, utility, build out, etc. So our leases range between 2016 and 2020, dominantly in that 2017 through 2020 timeframe. And the net rental rates range from a low of $12.50 a square foot up to a high of $16.50 a square foot for a chain restaurant location on the main floor of 260 St. Mary, which is a 3-story office building that my former company occupied just south of the police station on St. Mary. The balance of the comparables all generally fall between $14 and $16 per square foot. As you can see, we flip forward to the market information on page number 14. The Cushman indicates Class B suburban average of $14.18 a square foot. For Class B suburban, Capital indicating a similar amount of $14.47 per square foot. Now, I hate to say it, but perhaps the city has the best information in this instance with regard to comparables. If we look at the comparables provided on Provencher, they all center around $14 to $15 per square foot. We've assigned $15.50 per square foot to the subject property based on the recent renovation of the property. The expenses, we can move forward to page 15. We're using a 6% vacancy in our calculation. The market stats obviously indicate higher, but it is an owner-occupied property. The shortfall, we defer to the city at $8 per square foot. And we can move forward to the capitalization rate. Now, the market participants' cap rate ranges are shown at the top of the page. Suburban Class B generally being 6.75 to 7.75% for Cushman, and 6 to 6.75% for Colliers. Subject property wouldn't be a Class B suburban property. It's too small for that, so it would essentially be a Class C property. Now, however, that being said, it has been recently renovated, has adequate parking on site, and it is relatively small, so there is good demand for these smaller office properties. Our capitalization rate study is shown at the bottom of page 17, with the ranges generally higher between 6.5% and 8.4%. Many of these are obviously significantly greater buildings, superior buildings, but much larger in size than the subject. The photos of these transactions are shown on the following pages. Looking at the recent renovation and the size of the property, knowing the market, there would be reasonable demand for a property of this size. So we've applied a cap rate of 5.5% in our analysis, which gives us the final market value of $786,000. And that is my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Smith. Mr. Spacek, any questions of the applicant?
I have no questions. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Carrie, any questions of the applicant?
I have no questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Marcel, any questions?
Marcel, you muted.
No questions, Mr. Chair.
We could read your lips. You're okay.
That's what I thought. I knew you were coming back with that.
Okay. Let's see. Mr. Smith, I don't think I have any questions either. Any requirement for summary by either party?
No, I'm fine, Mr. Chair.
I'm good, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. That concludes item number 8, 476 Provencher Boulevard. That was the last item on our docket. Excuse me. We have heard the item scheduled, and this hearing is now adjourned. Thank you very much for both parties. You'll hear from us as soon as possible. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.
Mr. Chair, are you there?
Hello.
Can we take a break while he goes and shuts everything down?
We certainly can. Thank you.